All right, so we're diving into fruit and vegetable picking today. We've got a ton of great resources from RoleCatcher, and we're going to help you prep for that interview.
Mm.
Make sure you're ready to rock it.
Yeah, this is going to be fun.
I think so. I think it'll be really interesting. So let's jump right in. A lot of people maybe don't think about this as like a super high-tech job,
Right.
but there's actually some really interesting things happening in this field.
Oh, absolutely. Technology is changing everything.
Totally. But before we get to the robots and the drones and all that cool stuff,
Yeah.
let's start with the basics. What does a fruit and vegetable picker, what do they actually do all day?
Well, it might seem pretty straightforward on the surface,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more than just, picking stuff. It's really about quality control, making sure you're selecting the best produce.
Yeah.
You got to know the right way to harvest different crops. Some are more delicate than others, and then you've got all the tools and equipment.
Oh, yeah. I bet there's a lot to learn there.
There is. It's definitely a skilled job.
So you're not just like ripping things off a vine.
No. There's a technique to it.
I see.
You want to make sure you're not damaging the plants or the produce.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's a crucial role. And you know what? With the demand for organic and local produce growing like crazy, seems like this is a field with a real future.
Oh, absolutely. It's a growing industry for sure.
Okay. So let's jump into the interview prep. This is what we're all here for.
You're right.
RoleCatcher has identified 9 key questions that often come up in these interviews.
All right. Let's do it.
Ready to tackle?
Let's go.
All right. So first up, the classic. What experience do you have in fruit and vegetable picking? It seems simple, but what are they really trying to figure out here?
Well, I want to see if you've actually done this before. Have you got any real world experience?
So if someone's got experience, what's the best way to showcase it?
Be specific. Think about any previous jobs, volunteer work, even gardening you've done. Did you work on a farm? Help out at a community garden? Even just having a killer veggie patch in your backyard can show them you understand the basics.
So even something like that could be relevant.
Yeah, highlight anything that shows, how to harvest and handle produce.
Okay, that makes sense. What if someone is totally new to this, though? Should they just be upfront and say, hey, I've got zero experience?
I wouldn't necessarily lead with that. Instead of focusing on what you haven't done, talk about skills from other jobs that would be useful here.
Okay, I like that. So instead of saying, like, I've never picked a strawberry in my life,
Right.
you could say something like, well, I've done construction, or I've worked in landscaping.
Have you worked in physically demanding roles? Construction, landscaping. Even moving furniture could be relevant here.
Interesting. So you're showing them you've got the grit and the work ethic.
Exactly. You've got the stamina to be on your feet all day.
I see. Okay, next question. Can you lift heavy loads and work long hours? This one seems pretty straightforward.
It is, but don't just say yes and move on.
Right.
Give them proof. Mention those physically demanding jobs we talked about. Tell them about that time you helped your friend move their entire apartment in one day. The key is to really show them you can handle it. The physical side of things.
Makes sense. Now, I'm guessing they might also ask about working in different weather conditions,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
like scorching heat or pouring rain.
Definitely. You got to be ready to talk about your ability to work outdoors, no matter what Mother Nature throws your way.
That's a good point. So if you've got experience working in tough conditions, definitely mention it.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on to question 3. How do you ensure that you are picking fruits and vegetables that are ripe and ready to be harvested? Now, this one seems a bit trickier.
Yeah, this is where you show off your produce knowledge. Do you know what a ripe tomato looks and feels like compared to one that needs more time on the vine? Can you tell when a watermelon is perfectly ready to be picked?
Oh, so there's an art to it.
There is. It's about having an eye for quality.
Okay.
So share some specific examples to show them you've got that.
Well, what if someone's totally new to this whole world of produce?
Well, honesty is always the best policy. But you can also show them you're a fast learner.
Okay.
You could say something like, I'm still learning the ins and outs of each fruit and veggie, but I'm eager to become an expert.
I like that. So you're acknowledging that you're new, but you're showing that you're keen to learn.
Exactly. And to show them you're serious. Do a little research beforehand.
Good idea.
Mention some general signs of ripeness, like color changes or firmness.
Right. So it's all about demonstrating that willingness to learn.
Yeah. All right, question 4. How do you ensure that you are not damaging the fruit or vegetable while picking it? This one seems to be all about being careful and precise.
Absolutely. Highlight your attention to detail and your gentle touch.
Mention things like using both hands to support the fruit, twisting instead of pulling. Being mindful of stems and leaves, basically show them you treat the produce with care.
Right, like it's a delicate little baby.
Exactly.
I bet they'll also want to know about your experience with different harvesting tools.
Right? Oh, yeah, for sure. You should familiarize yourself with the basics. Things like picking shears ladders, those big harvesting baskets. Even if you haven't used them much, show that you're eager to learn and follow the proper techniques.
Right. So even if you don't have tons of experience,
Yeah.
you can still impress them with your knowledge and your attitude.
Exactly. It's all about showing that you're willing to learn and grow.
And then this next one sounds like it tests your problem-solving skills. How do you prioritize which fruits and vegetables to pick first? There must be a strategy to it, right?
Oh, definitely. They want to see if you can think on your feet and make smart decisions. So explain that you'd prioritize based on ripeness. Always picking the most perishable items first to avoid spoilage. You could also mention focusing on crops with specific deadlines or those in high demand.
Right. So it's not just about randomly grabbing whatever looks good.
No. You
Look-
gotta think strategically.
Gotta have a plan.
Exactly.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. Can you work well in a team environment? This one's all about collaboration.
And teamwork is crucial in agriculture. They need to know you can communicate effectively, share tasks, be a supportive colleague.
So how do you answer this one effectively?
Think about times you've been part of a successful team project. Maybe in a previous job, a volunteer gig, even a sports team. Share those experiences.
So you're painting a picture of yourself as a team player.
Exactly. Someone who's reliable and easy to work with.
I bet they might follow up by asking about a time you had to deal with conflict within a team.
Oh, yeah. That's a common one. Have a specific example ready where you show diplomacy, listen to different perspectives, and help find a solution. They want to see that you can handle those tricky interpersonal situations.
Okay, so be prepared for those follow-up questions. They're digging a little deeper there. All right, question 7 focuses on individual work ethic. Can you work independently and manage your time productively? This one seems pretty self-explanatory.
It is, but you still need to sell it.
Okay.
Talk about your ability to stay focused. Meet deadlines, work efficiently without someone constantly looking over your shoulder. Think about previous jobs where you had to manage your own workload or juggle multiple tasks.
So even if you've never worked on a farm before, you can draw on experiences from other jobs.
Absolutely. The key is to highlight those transferable skills.
Right. And would they ask about handling a fast-paced environment here? It seems like things could get pretty hectic during harvest time.
Oh, for sure. Be honest about your comfort level, but also emphasize your adaptability and your ability to learn new routines quickly.
Okay, so even if you're not used to the pace, you're showing them that you're a quick learner and you're ready to adapt.
Exactly.
Okay, question. 8 shifts focused to post-harvest care. How do you ensure that the fruit and vegetables are properly stored after they are picked? This one seems to be about preserving quality.
It is. Talk about the factors that keep produce fresh. The right temperature, humidity, ventilation. If you know about specific techniques like using crates for airflow or separating different types of produce, definitely mention those.
So it's like you're showing them that you understand the bigger picture.
Right. You're not just picking the produce, you're thinking about how to keep it fresh and delicious.
And I imagine they might follow up with questions about food safety practices.
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
Yeah.
Brush up on basic food safety guidelines, things like proper hand washing, sanitizing equipment, avoiding cross-contamination. Those are super important in this industry.
Right, so it's not just about being efficient. It's about being safe and responsible as well. Okay, the final question in this set is all about safety. How do you ensure that you are following all safety procedures while picking fruits and vegetables? This is critical in any farm work.
Oh, it is. This is where you show them that you're serious about keeping yourself and your colleagues safe.
Right.
Talk about your knowledge of safety practices, like wearing the right clothing and footwear, using tools correctly, being aware of potential hazards in the field.
So it's about demonstrating that you have a safety mindset.
Exactly. You're not just thinking about yourself, you're thinking about everyone's well-being.
I'm guessing a follow-up question here could be about a time you had to spot and address a safety concern.
Oh, that's a good one. Be prepared to share a specific example that highlights your proactive approach to safety, your ability to follow procedures, and your clear communication skills.
So you're showing them that you can not only identify a problem, but you can also take action to fix it.
Exactly. You're a problem solver.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here with these 9 questions.
Yeah.
They really get into the nitty-gritty of what it takes to be a successful fruit and vegetable picker.
They do. And what's fascinating is how these questions go beyond just the doing of the job,
Yeah.
They're also assessing your thinking, your problem solving, your teamwork skills.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So even if you don't have tons of experience, you can still shine by showcasing those essential skills.
Absolutely.
And speaking of getting an edge, you mentioned earlier how RoleCatcher's AI can be a secret weapon in the job hunt. I'm really curious to hear more about that.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty amazing stuff.
Okay, spill the beans. What can this AI do?
Well, you know how job descriptions are packed with keywords that employers use to filter applicants? RoleCatcher's AI can analyze those descriptions
Yeah.
and tell you exactly which skills and experiences to emphasize on your CV.
So it's like having a personal CV consultant.
Exactly. It takes all the guesswork out of tailoring your application. Plus, it makes sure you're using language that resonates with those applicant tracking systems or ATS that employers use.
Wait, an ATS? What's that?
An ATS is basically software that scans your CV for keywords that match the job description.
Oh, okay.
If your CV doesn't have the right keywords, it might not even get seen by a human.
Wow, that's scary.
It is. So using RoleCatcher's AI could really increase your chances of getting noticed.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a game changer.
Okay, so we've talked about acing the interview, but what about the long game? What kind of career path can someone build starting as a fruit and vegetable picker?
That's a great question. The RoleCatcher Career Guide outlines 3 main stages: entry-level junior and senior. As you gain experience, your responsibilities grow, and there's definitely room for advancement.
So it's not just a dead-end job.
No, there's a real career path here.
So starting at the entry level, what would someone be focusing on?
At the entry level, it's all about mastering those harvesting techniques, making sure you're sorting produce correctly, and following all the safety protocols.
Okay, so it's all about building that solid foundation.
Exactly. Then as they gain experience and confidence, they might move into a junior picker role. This is where they start taking on more responsibility.
Okay, like what?
They might operate machinery, train new team members, and even begin to identify potential issues with the crops, like signs of disease or pests.
So they're not just following instructions anymore. They're starting to think critically and solve problems.
Exactly. They're becoming more independent and developing their leadership skills. And then, if they continue to grow and excel, they might eventually reach the level of senior pickers. This is where they really become the experts in the field.
Wow. So what would a senior picker's day-to-day look like?
Well, they might be supervising entire teams of pickers, developing harvesting strategies for different crops, ensuring that quality standards are met, and even overseeing things like machinery maintenance and repairs.
That's a lot of responsibility.
It is. They're playing a crucial role in the farm's overall success.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
You know, when people think of a fruit and vegetable picker, they might picture someone just going out and full picking stuff. But there's so much more to it than that.
There really is. It's a job that requires skill knowledge and a lot of hard work. But it can also be incredibly rewarding.
Yeah.
You know, you're working outdoors, contributing to something essential like food production, and constantly learning and growing.
I can see that.
It's a great feeling.
Yeah. You know, speaking of which, I remember you mentioned that the RoleCatcher Guide had an example profile of a senior picker. What stood out to you about their story?
I loved how this person started out as a seasonal worker and worked their way up over several years. They really emphasized their passion for agriculture, their commitment to always learning new things, and how they gradually took on more and more responsibility.
That's so inspiring. It shows that this isn't just a job. It can be a truly fulfilling career with real potential for growth. Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here. We've talked about what the job actually entails, how to tackle those tricky interview questions, and even how to use RoleCatcher's AI to your advantage.
We have.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what are some key takeaways for our listener?
Well, first and foremost, thorough preparation is key to nailing that interview. Understand the role, practice those answers, and definitely take advantage of resources like RoleCatcher to tailor your application and refine your delivery. You've got this.
Absolutely. And don't forget about those transferable skills. Even if you eventually decide to pursue a different path, whether it's within agriculture or in another field altogether, the skills you gain as a fruit and vegetable picker will be valuable assets.
That's such an important point. Think about it. Physical stamina, attention to detail, teamwork, time management, working under pressure. These are sought-after qualities in countless industries.
So this job could be a fantastic stepping stone to all sorts of opportunities. And hey, who knows? Maybe you'll discover a passion for agriculture that you never knew you had.
It happens. You might start out with a specific goal in mind, but through learning and experience, you stumble upon new possibilities you hadn't even considered. That's the beauty of exploring different career paths.
I love that. So as we move on to the next part of our deep dive, let's keep that sense of possibility in mind. This is just the beginning of the journey.
It really is. You know, it's like planting a seed and seeing where it grows.
Ooh, I like that.
You never know what amazing things might sprout up along the way.
I love that analogy. Okay, so we've laid the groundwork for acing that interview, and we've hinted at some of those exciting career paths that could unfold. But there's one more RoleCatcher feature we haven't explored yet, and it sounds pretty game-changing.
You're talking about Get Discovered, right?
Yes. Tell me everything.
Yeah.
How does this feature work? And how can it help someone land a fruit and vegetable picker job?
Well, imagine this. Instead of just passively applying for jobs and hoping for the best, you create a profile that showcases your skills and experience, and then employers come looking for you.
Wait, so employers are actually using RoleCatcher to find potential candidates?
Exactly. They can search for people with specific skills, experience levels, even location preferences. So if your profile aligns with what they're looking for, you could get noticed even before you've applied for anything.
That's incredible. It's like flipping the script on the traditional job hunting process.
It is. It puts you in a more proactive and empowered position. And it's not just about getting discovered by employers. RoleCatcher also has a whole network of resources, like connections to professional organizations, industry news, even potential mentors.
Wow, so it's like having a whole career support system right at your fingertips. I'm really starting to see how RoleCatcher can be a game changer for anyone starting out in this field. But before we wrap up, I wanted to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about career progression.
You mean the 3 stages, entry-level, junior, and senior?
Yes. I'm curious to dive a little deeper into each stage. What are some of the specific skills and responsibilities that someone might gain as they move up the ladder?
Okay, so let's picture someone starting out as an entry-level picker. Their main focus is on mastering those essential harvesting techniques, making sure the produce is sorted correctly, and of course, following all the safety protocols.
It's all about building that solid foundation, right?
Exactly. Then, as they gain experience and confidence, they might move into a junior picker role. This is where they start taking on more responsibility.
Okay, like what?
They might operate machinery, train new team members, and even begin to identify potential issues with the crops, like signs of disease or pests.
So they're not just following instructions anymore. They're starting to think critically and solve problems.
Exactly. They're becoming more independent and developing their leadership skills. And then if they continue to grow and excel, they might eventually reach the level of senior pickers. This is where they really become the experts in the field.
What would a senior picker's day-to-day look like?
Well, they might be supervising entire teams of pickers, developing harvesting strategies for different crops, ensuring that quality standards are met, and even overseeing things like machinery maintenance and repairs.
Wow, that's a lot of responsibility. It sounds like they're playing a crucial role in the farm's overall success. You know, it's funny. When people think of a fruit and vegetable picker, they might picture someone just going out and, well, picking stuff. But there's so much more to it than that.
There really is. It's a job that requires skill knowledge and a lot of hard work. But it can also be incredibly rewarding. You're working outdoors, you know, contributing to something essential like food production.
Yeah.
And constantly learning and growing.
I'm getting that sense of fulfillment just hearing you describe it. You know, the example profile of that senior picker really brought that point home. I loved how they talked about their passion for agriculture and their dedication to continuous learning.
Me too. They even mentioned getting certifications in crop management and agricultural leadership. That really shows their commitment to building a successful career in this field.
It's a great reminder that this isn't just a job. It can be a truly fulfilling career path with real opportunities for growth and advancement. And with resources like RoleCatcher, anyone can equip themselves with the tools and knowledge they need to succeed.
Absolutely. RoleCatcher's AI can help you tailor your CV, practice your interview skills, and even get discovered by potential employers. Plus, their career guides provide valuable insights into the industry and potential career paths.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what's the main takeaway for our listener?
I'd say it's this. Don't underestimate the potential of a fruit and vegetable picker role. It's a job that can provide valuable skills, a sense of fulfillment, and even a springboard to a long and rewarding career in agriculture.
I love that. It's all about seeing the bigger picture and recognizing the opportunities that might be hidden in plain sight. And I'm really excited to move on to the final part of our deep dive, where we'll explore some of the surprising ways that technology is shaping the future of agriculture.
I can't wait. From GPS-guided tractors to drones monitoring crop health, the world of farming is undergoing some incredible transformations.
It sounds like we're about to step into the future of food production. Let's dive in. Okay, so we've talked about, the skills and the experience, but now let's talk about the tech, because things are changing fast.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. The future of farming it's pretty wild, actually.
So break it down for me.
Mhm.
How is technology, really changing the game for fruit and vegetable pickers?
Well, for starters, drones. Drones can fly over entire fields
Yeah.
and use special cameras to see which areas are ready for harvest.
Oh, wow. So it's like having an eye in the sky.
Exactly. And that means pickers aren't wasting time searching for ripe produce. They know exactly where to go.
So it's all about efficiency.
It is. It's about working smarter, not harder.
I like that.
What else?
Some farms are even using robots for harvesting, for certain crops.
Right.
Like imagine a machine that can pick strawberries with the same care and precision as a human.
Whoa, that's amazing.
It is. And it frees up human pickers to focus on tasks that require more, judgment, like quality control or handling delicate fruits.
So it's not about replacing human workers.
Right.
It's
I'd
about...
say about collaboration
Yeah,
between humans and machines.
I see. Okay, so what about data? I hear a lot about data in agriculture these days. Oh, yeah. Data is huge. Sensors in the fields. They can collect tons of information about soil, moisture, temperature, even plant health.
Wow.
And all that data helps farmers make better decisions about irrigation, fertilization, pest control.
So it's like having a constant stream of feedback.
Exactly. And that leads to healthier crops and a more productive harvest.
This all sounds really impressive. But are there any downsides to all this tech? Are there any concerns?
Well, some people worry about the cost. Implementing these technologies, it can be a big investment for farmers, especially smaller operations. And then there's always the concern about jobs being lost to automation.
Right. Those are valid concerns.
They are. But I think the key is to view technology as a tool, a tool that can augment human capabilities, not replace them entirely.
Yeah, it's about finding that balance.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've talked about the skills, the experience, the technology, the career paths. It's been a really fascinating conversation.
It has.
So what are some final thoughts you want to leave our listener with?
I think the biggest takeaway is that this field is constantly evolving. It's no longer just about manual labor. It requires a blend of skills, knowledge, and adaptability. And with the increasing demand for fresh, local produce, there's a real opportunity to build a fulfilling and rewarding career.
I love that. So it's not just a job.
Yeah.
It's a career.
It's a path.
And it's a path with a future.
Absolutely.
Well said. And that wraps up our deep dive into the world of fruit and vegetable picking. We hope you found it informative and inspiring. And who knows, maybe you'll be the next generation of agricultural innovators.
Maybe you will.
Good luck out there and happy harvesting.